Peace and richest blessings to all of you, and welcome to a great new day in your life, a day that's full of infinite opportunities and great possibilities because you're surrounded by them. As people are logging on at this particular moment, I take the opportunity to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, whatever time zone you may be in, because I've discovered we have like 42 countries that tune in to my Instagram Live, as well as the Sunday services. Now, in just a moment, I'm going to be pulling on Gerard Powell to the Instagram. And if you're here for the first time, I'm Michael B. Beckwith, the founder of Agape International Spiritual Center, and author of Life Visioning and Spiritual Liberation and a few other books. I'm going to be pulling on Gerard Powell in just a moment. He's a philanthropic entrepreneur. He's going to explain what that means. He's an author, inspirational speaker, but he's the founder and CEO of Rhythmia Life Advancement Center in Costa Rica, the largest medically licensed facility in the world to offer ayahuasca, which is an indigenous plant medicine. There at this Life Advancement Center, they have tremendous breath work. They have The Answer Is You teaching by Michael B. Beckwith. They have yoga. They have meditation, they have swimming, they have ground farm to table organic food, and a great chef, massage. It's a whole life advancement center for through into a greater expression of who and what they are. And we're going to talk to Gerard Powell right this moment, and then he can he can roll us through his moments of transformation. I see John Mubarak in here. Let me see Gerard Powell. And Gerard's going to be joining us in just a second. And I just want to thank you guys for week after week tuning in and being a part of this congregation. This conversation. And John, I see you. I just invited Gerard, so I'm waiting for him to sign in, so you may be able to assist with that. And for those of you who have been sending in your kind letters and notes and emails and texts and things like that to our website, thank you so very much. Many of you are saying some powerful gratitude notes regarding the teachings and regarding the community, and absolutely appreciate that. Now, we call ourselves an intentional spiritual community because we're intentionally about transformation, not just surface change, but great transformation. Let me try this once again. About transformation, and you know what transformation is? It's trans means to go beyond, and the formation of your present life. So it's not just moving things around to make yourself more comfortable or convenient, but it's to go beyond who you used to be and to become the next great version of yourself. Now, I'm hearing John Jacob saying Gerard is on, but I don't see him. Let me hold on one second. Something is happening. Gerard is not on. Can't get on. John Jacob says he is. We're experiencing just. Oh, okay. I think so. He's on his Rhythmia. So just search it. Okay. Now we're going to get Brother Gerard Powell. And while we're waiting, continue to hold a high space for great insights and revelations to course through your spiritual veins, that you may become more and never less than your true self. So John Jacob Mubarak, I see that you're online here. I've just invited Gerard on his Rhythmia account, his IG, on the IG Rhythmia account. So you may be of assistance on that. For those of you just tuning in, we're about to have a conversation with Gerard Powell. And he's the founder and CEO of the Rhythmia Life Advancement Center in Costa Rica. Many of you may or may not know this, but I'm there at least twice a year teaching the individuals that travel from all around the world to be a part of this great center. So it's not foreign to me. The work that's done there is quite transformational, and a wonderful spiritual community emerges. We're having just a little technical difficulty, but we're going to get to this. It might be some internet activity. So, John Jacob, maybe we should use yours. So, don't worry, we're going to get him on, because Gerard not only has gone through many transformations, but he is a great storyteller. As a part of the introduction into the Life Advancement Center, you attend a number of classes, but one of the classes you do attend is the introductory class by him. And as he shares his own moments of transformation from pre-agape, pre-plant medicine, the way he is so honestly breaks down the life he was living, and his transformation is not only raw and honest, but it's also funny. I mean, he laughs at himself at who he used to be. So it's a very powerful transformation, and I think everyone can relate to it to a degree, because hopefully today you are not who you used to be, but you're also not who you're going to be. And so we live in that sweet gap between being and becoming. There's a state of being, a spiritual state of being that is absolute perfection, is always unfolding. And then there's personalities that to a limited or greater degree express our state of being. So we're always becoming more of our real self as the infinite breaks through time and becomes flowing through us. So we want to embrace who we are, but we are aware that we're always on the verge of becoming more ourselves. So this is the meaning of transformation. It is not just trying to etch out convenience and comfort in the world in which we live. It's actually to go through transformation so that the world responds to the next level of who we are by law. So here we go. We're going to try this again. And we're going to see if this one works. So this is why individuals come to places like agape, Rhythmia, really not just to live in a comfort zone, but actually to stretch the possibilities and to become more and more themselves. and you know what's beautiful about that? In order to taste bliss, You have to be activating your potential. The bliss hits come from potential being actualized. It's not from it's not from the world being the way you want it to be. It's from you being in alignment with your real nature and your real self. And as that's activated, you discover bliss. So I always say bliss is the function of the activation of our potential. So we're always seeking to invite people into higher orders of spiritual practice, higher conversations, so that we're able to have more and more and more the awareness of what bliss really is. And so we are is that the one? We're going to get this, guys. We're going to get it. Technology is not going to not be useful for us today. Gerard Powell will be with us. And for those of you who don't know about the Rhythmia Life Advancement Center, they're number one on TripAdvisor, by the way, in the world. They're the number one on TripAdvisor. You go to TripAdvisor, Rhythmia Life Advancement Center is number one. So people travel from all over the world. I mean, when I was there, I meet people from obviously from Canada, from Ireland, the United States, El Salvador. People come from all over the world to gather to go through a week of great inner transformation that Gerard calls, and Rhythmia is called, having your miracle, having that moment of insight and revelation, and that shifts your perception.
Hey, Rev.
Gerard, hey, brother, we got on.
I'm so sorry. This is a circus. How are you?
I'm good, man. I've just been talking about you.
Good. Good. How's everything?
Good. I've just been talking about you and Rhythmia, the Life Advancement Center, and so I've already introduced you. People know that you're a philanthropic entrepreneur and author, a transformational coach, the CEO and founder of the Life Advancement Center known as Rhythmia in Costa Rica, the only licensed medical facility for ayahuasca, the indigenous plant for transformation. We know we got that. And they know I'm there at least twice a year teaching, and all of the modalities that you have there, the meditation, the yoga, the deep cleansing, special kind of colonic, the plant medicine, the Answer Is You class, the breath work, the farm to table food, the swimming pool. You got everything for life advancement. So I wanted people to get an understanding as to who you were and what has happened to you. I mean, pre-agape, pre-plant medicine, who was Gerard Powell?
He was a bad guy. Bad guy. But thanks to you, I mean, when I first met you, that I was really on death's door, right? I was wealthy, or not super wealthy, but wealthy enough. And
right.
I just sold a company for $90 million, so I was in good shape. But I was an alcoholic, a drug addict, and more than that, I was just a very sad, I'd say suicidal guy that disliked people. I disliked everyone, and I wound up at Passages Malibu, and that's how I met you. I was in Passages, and they kept, I kept going to the mall in Topanga on Sunday, and finally the bus left Passages and went to Agape. And then when I met you, and there's a funny story behind that, but I met you and it changed my life. And it really did change my life. And from Agape drove me to do different things. And finally I arrived at plant medicine. And when plant medicine happened, then everything came together for me. And I wasn't a person that went to Agape now and then. I went every Sunday. As a matter of fact, I moved from Pennsylvania to Los Angeles because of you, Rev. So
Wow.
So for me, when you hit me, and the funniest thing, do you want me to tell a story if you want?
You can tell the story. I remember one thing you said. You can tell your story, but I remember you coming up to me one time. I think you had taken iboga. Iboga, is that what it's called? And you said, Rev, this shaman took me to take this iboga, and everything you've been saying is true. I said, Jerry, I know it's true. Now you know it's true.
I couldn't get over that. And that to me, Rev, like this is what happened. Like when I heard your words, they were your words. I borrowed your faith to keep me alive. I didn't have faith of my own, but I borrowed your faith. And then after borrowing your faith and going and having a death experience in ayahuasca and getting to the other side of life, getting to the death side of life, I came back. I remember calling you and I said, hey, I told you, don't worry about it. Everything you're saying is true. I love it.
That was funny.
Now when I think about it, it's funny, you know?
Yeah. No, I really appreciate it because, you were, I tell people, if they're earnest and sincere, they will actually have a breakthrough. And you were earnest and sincere about your breakthrough. You really, based on your pain and suffering and the fact that you didn't like yourself and all the things you just mentioned, you were really searching.
Yeah.
I mean, I assigned a minister just to you.
I know you did. And I got to tell you that story. I want to tell you this. You know how that happened, right? I went to Agape and I saw you talking. And at that time, Rev, that was the first day that I heard the word manifestation. I was from Scranton, Pennsylvania. People don't use the word manifestation, right? And when I heard you talk, and I was a devout Catholic, and when I say devout Catholic, I mean I sinned like the devil and went to church occasionally. That's you know.
You were carrying Catholic guilt.
I was carrying Catholic guilt, and I was full of it. And but I went to Agape, and this is while I was in Passages, and when you said God, and then you said she, I said to the guy next to me, what the F did he just say? And the guy said, God, the mother. And I'm like, you don't believe that shit, do you? And he's like, yeah, we all kind of do. And I got super scared because in Catholicism, you can go to hell for being in a place, and I thought of all the shit that I did, God gets me on this technicality to get me to hell, and then
Mother, Father, God.
Then I said, while I was standing in Agape, it was my 6th or 7th week at Passages. I thought, holy God, I understand why I was born. I was born to set Michael Beckwith straight and let him know that God is a man. On my honor. And dude, that's the truth. And then do you remember I had one of the guys that was
you were looking for the cracks in my teaching.
I was. So I got one of the guys that was on Rob Deerdeck's Fantasy Factory to call someone in your office. He knew someone in your office, and I got a lunch with you and Reverend Kathleen. And I got drunk at that lunch. And when I was done, you said to me, I'm going to give you Reverend Kathleen until you get better. And you said, and you helped me out, and you gave me her, Rev, and that was the start of my change. After that, every Wednesday night and every Sunday, without fail, I was down there with you, and again, I was borrowing your faith,
right,
until I could get 3 days further, borrowing your faith, getting 3 days further, and then when I died on the medicine, I saw that everything that you said is true. There's nothing but love. Nothing but love. It's the thing that holds us together. There's nothing to be afraid of. Not a thing in death to be afraid of. Nothing to be afraid of. and that the world and this thing here is our gift, and every second of it is precious beyond words, and we're all in it together. And I thought, holy shit, this guy knew what he was talking about, because I met a bunch of dead people, and it's the same thing. It's just, it was beautiful. And then I remember calling you and saying, hey, don't worry about it, like you were worried about it. Don't worry about it. Everything you're saying is true.
I remember that. That gave me a lot of laughter.
I love
a lot of laughter. So everyone,
it.
if you're just tuning in right now, you're just signing on. I'm speaking to Gerard Powell, and he's the founder and a CEO of Rhythmia, the Life Advancement Center, and he's sharing a little bit about his journey from being unconscious, alcoholic, drug user, and other things as well, to moments of clarity, sobriety, and insight that allowed him to actually have this vision. Because I remember I sent you down the path of different modalities because you had some things going on with your body temple.
Yep.
And then you had a vision of actually pulling these things together, plus more, and actually dedicating your life to having this center where people could come and transform their life. Before I get there, I want to ask you another question, because you also went through traditional psychotherapy. And you found that was good, but a little limiting as well. When you bumped into higher spiritual teachings and plant medicine, you found that there was a little limitation to traditional psychotherapy. Tell me your thoughts on that.
Well, the thing is, so this is the truth. For 5 years, I was in psychotherapy 5 days a week with the best therapist that I believe is in the world. And he's my partner here now. So
you stole him from the psychotherapy work. You stole him.
Now what's really beautiful is where you have some psychotherapy, right? Or you understand the basics of it, and then your teachings, which kind of what Rhythmia is your teachings, right? The answer is you is here all the time, every day, and your teachings, and then these other modalities plus plant medicine. And Rev, this is just the truth. I'm a math guy. I keep numbers on everything. So we've had, as a matter of fact, this coming week we will have had our 8,000th guest. That's 32,000 plant ceremonies. That's out of those 8,000, 96.23% of them. So that's almost 97 out of every 100 say that they had a life-changing miracle during their stay. And 6 months later, they get another survey. 6 months later, 92.71 say that miracle is still alive in their life. And this was the week that changed their life. That's a combination of the things that saved my life. What saved my life? Michael Beckwith, Jeff McNary, who's here with me, and then plant medicine. The three of them in one place. They get the teachings of Michael Beckwith, the benefits of Jeff, the plant ceremonies, and they get me, and I went through it. And this is the difference between being healthy, awake, and alive, and all other things. Like there's no, you can't have a drink. There's no, you can't do this. There's none of that. You're walking around. As a matter of fact, this is what I say to people all the time. And this is not a rehab center. This is a life advancement center. A lot of people that come here might have a drinking thing, which is so funny because they only think they have a drinking thing. It's never a drinking thing, right? It's just this is all such a crazy.
That's a symptom. That's a symptom. The drinking thing is a symptom.
It's a symptom of something, of a little bit of this, and with a little bit of that goes away. And what I'm saying is, I watch people every week walk away from alcohol, walk away from cigarettes, walk away from the things that they don't want, and never be tied to it. They can do it and not be tied to it. It doesn't run their life. All of a sudden, what's running their life is hope, joy, prosperity, love. Like all of a sudden, this is where they're running from. And from here, you tend to take care of your body better. You tend to eat better. You tend to have more fun. Like, I don't know, man. I'm just on fire for it, and I'm on fire for you. When I met you, I knew you had some street in you, and I'm like, this guy's a little too slick. And and as I got to know you, and as I got to know like how sincere you are as a human, how I watch how many people you talk to and never say no to anybody, and where your heart is. You won me over so hard. You're one of my closest friends, and you're one of the guys that I have the most respect for in the world. And none of this shit stuff. I didn't say shit. I got close, but none of this stuff would have happened, Rev, without you here. Like, Rhythmia is here because you grabbed me. You know? Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you, Jerry, and I appreciate the fact that you actually took your own transformation, combined it with your skills, because you were an individual that had a lot of business savvy. You know, you still do. You have a lot of business savvy. You have a lot of experience in putting things together, and you took your genius that you used to make money and combined that genius with your own transformation and built what I call a transformational hotel. You know, you have a hotel that, you know, it's not Heartbreak Hotel, it's Transformational Hotel. So people check in, but that person doesn't check out. Somebody else new checks out of that hotel. You know,
That's so cool.
And yeah, that's how I always see it, because I see people when they first get there. I see when I arrive, there are people that are leaving, and then there are people that are coming. And the people that are leaving, they always, you know, we have a conversation there in the lobby, and they're saying, oh my God, you know, your teachings were great, and I'm not the same person I was when I got here. And then I see the new people coming in, and then I see them all week going through all the modalities. And then I see them when they're leaving, and they're different. And they can't wait to bring back their husbands, their wives, their girlfriends, or whatever. And people bring back their mothers, you know, and their dads, because they want their family to understand their transformation, because they know they're never going to be fitting back in that box again. You know, so I've always called it the Transformational Hotel. You check in, but somebody else checks out. but let me ask you this. Yeah. What was that?
Go ahead.
I didn't hear you.
No, I said
my
goal. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
My goal is to get you down here to retire with me one day.
You've been telling me that for the last 4 years.
That's the truth.
Let's not make everybody afraid that I'm going to leave. One day I will be in Costa Rica for a long period of time, because I love it. You know, I was going to Costa Rica pre-Rhythmia. It was one of my favorite spots on the planet. So when you called me that day and said that you were going to start this Life Advancement Center, do you have my support? And then you said you had found a place in Costa Rica. I was like, yes, that's one of my favorite spots on the planet. And the government, no army, they put their money into education and health.
Right.
The people are really, really beautiful. It's like the perfect spot. And you have the only plan. For 2 months, and they come back and they call themselves a shaman. I'm not talking about that. He has individuals there that are really from a deep lineage.
Yep.
You know, he has Taita there. That's, you know, I'll let you tell him who he is. I'll let you share. But he has people that have strong years of lineage of the shamanistic teachings and practices. So you're not going. It's not a party. You know, where you have ayahuasca on the weekend and everybody's having a great time. These are very sacred journeys that they go on with people that are steeped in plant medicine. So, and then he obviously then he has a medical facility. He has all the safety protocols. As a matter of fact, I was there in January teaching, and his place was as safe as the NBA playoffs in that bubble for during COVID. He had the same protocol. You had to take a COVID test to get in, and then you took a COVID test when you left before you got on the plane to fly back to wherever you were flying. And once you got in that bubble of Rhythmia, you couldn't leave, so that everybody in that bubble had tested negative. So you could be in the bubble of Rhythmia knowing that every single person there, the staff and the guest, were COVID free. So they do a really good job of safety protocols. It's not just, oh, we're going to go do plant medicine. You know, it's really, really safe. It's really a profound space with great teachers. We got thought leaders that come down there. It's really great. Yeah. And you know, you're different from the person I met you. I mean, you are a different guy, you know.
Night
you
and
still
day.
have your laughter and you're joking and you're happy, but you know, your intention is really sincere about your own growth and about the people that come to Rhythmia. You really want them to have their miracle, their insight, their revelation.
Yes, 100%. And I see some guests start saying, what's the guest name? My name's Gerard Powell. The place is Rhythmia, RYTHMIA. And just go to rhythmia.com. By the way, I do want to say this. We are the world's #1 rated resort on TripAdvisor of any type in the world. We have the highest rating, highest customer rating, with over, I think, 1,300 reviews. You know, amazing. Yeah,
it is. It is. Now you wrote this book, "The Shit the Moon Said," and people don't really know where that word came from. That word is a nautical term. Basically, it comes from they used to stack manure inside of the ship, and from time to time it would explode because of the the condensation of the oils and the gases. So they started stacking it on top of ships, and they put stack high in transit. And then later on, that word stack high in transit was just abbreviated to shit. So that was the term. That's where that word comes from. It means to stack high in transit, stack the manure high in transit. So it wasn't just like a profane word. It was a nautical term. So your book basically details your movement through your own transformation. And one of the things that happens when you took your journey is that you actually flew to the moon, and the moon gave you information.
Yeah, the moon told me the whole thing. The moon told me everything, like just about the things that I called you about. Like, it told me how things work, you know, why you have this splinter in life, and the whole goal is to make it come back together. And then once it's together, when you're merged with your soul, that life is easier and less painful, and all disease, all addictions and disorders come from this split. And once you're back together, you got to keep that stuff together, and you keep that together through your daily practice and through your actions and all of the things that you teach, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. When I was flying back from Rhythmia, obviously in the van, you have your goodbye message to the people on the way to the airport. And you did it very well. And one of the things that you shared that I appreciated is that you may have had an insight or a revelation or a miracle. It doesn't necessarily mean you to go out and just change your life. It might mean your life is going to stay the same, but you'll be different in your life.
Correct.
Or it might mean that some people means that they have a life change. They realize that they're in the wrong place, the wrong job, whatever, and they do change. But in many cases, you go back to your same life, but you see it differently because you're a different person. And I really appreciated that, because that's what we teach. You actually grounded people in the awareness that just because you had this big revelation doesn't mean you're going to go home and throw everything away. It means that you're going to be in your life more conscious and more deliberate and more loving and more giving and more creative. And you did a good job. I meant to tell you that. That was a really good summarization
Thanks,
of
Rev.
spiritual teaching. Yeah,
Thank you.
very,
And I want
very
to
good.
talk about COVID too for 1 second. Like the week you were here, we had 85 people or something. Yeah. So we always
Yeah,
have like in non-COVID times we had 90 or more than that, but not one case of COVID. We test them when they get here before they enter the resort. We test them when they leave, and not one case of COVID. Ever since COVID started, we haven't had one case of customer COVID. Uh-huh.
right.
So our protocols are tight. This is a medical center. We're licensed to give people their COVID test for the trip home back to the United States. We got you. And then the nicest thing when people get here, they rip their mask off, they start hugging people because it's not here. It's just not here. So and you don't need a COVID test to come to Costa Rica. We test you in our lobby and get an instant result and then go from there. Yeah.
Right. And then you have another protocol that if a person does test positive, they're taken somewhere, quarantined, and then those results are sent to another lab to make sure it's not a false positive.
Correct.
Because that you've never had to do that as yet, but you have that as a secondary backup just in case the first test was incorrect.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And you guys are doing great work. Great work. Then I want to ask you one other thing. I want to ask you two things.
Sure.
And then because we've been here for a minute, then we'll do part 2 on a Zoom, and I'll put that on my app for people to see.
Cool.
But I wanted to ask you one. See, what question went on my mind? But I'll go with this question, and then we'll get to a little bit more of this question later. But you shared how the plant medicine and all the modalities that you've been going through you have breath work there, you have meditation, you have the whole deal. That it saw something devastating. It showed you something that happened to you as a toddler.
Yes.
That caused the split in your soul. That you had buried it. It was like the genesis of your anger and the genesis of the way you just were going through life as a boisterous bad boy.
Yes.
And you saw it. Would you break that down for a moment, if you don't mind?
Sure. So I actually went to the moon, and on these plant medicines, you pretty much split. You disassociate. Your spirit goes, and your consciousness goes with it. So you're watching this stuff. I went to the moon. I watched a video of my grandfather molesting me. I never knew about it on Earth, but when I saw it, I remembered it, and this was the reason for, my drinking, my drug use, my womanizing, my sex addiction, all of that stuff. And what's interesting is it's not the molestation, it's the split. It's the being you decide that it's not safe for you to be your whole soul, and you just split into this new personality that becomes a tough. It just becomes something else, and the next thing you know, that person is running the show.
Right.
Running the show,
Right.
And
that's exactly the truth. That's what I teach. That you develop personalities and a constellation of personalities as a protection from your personalities emerge from experience, whereas your soul is eternal. And your personality is running the show. And not all personality is bad, but your personality constructs are running the show until there's a healing, and then more and more of the real you begins to show up. So when you saw that, you remembered that you ran away from it as an infant. It was too big to handle.
Yep.
So you developed the personality to protect yourself, to go through life. And then obviously you had a lot of destructive behavior until you woke up. Now, obviously there had to be some kind of forgiveness around that.
Yeah. What was so interesting though for me is that, I really hated myself, Rev. When I met you, you knew that, and when I saw what happened to me as a boy, like I fell in love with me. I thought, wow. Like what, how did I call this in? I called this in, so that this could occur. And yet it was so hard, and like you just fall in love. When you watch the movie of your life, you're always the hero, and then
Yeah, yeah.
it gets like I got in love with my my light parts and my not so light parts. And the more that you fall in love with that, the more that the light tends to emerge, right? It's the way it is. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I appreciate the way that when people come into the Life Advancement Center, known as Rhythmia, you as a part of the introduction, you share your whole story
Absolutely.
with everybody that comes in, from the beginning, the darkness you walk through, all the way through the integration of the light, all the way through the vision of Rhythmia and up to present moment. And I was sharing before you came on the line just what a great storyteller you are in
Uh-huh.
terms of, you know, actually bringing a level of humor to things that are very morose, very dark, very destructive aspect of your life. You make people laugh at you. You're kind of laughing at yourself as
Yes.
you're moving through, your own hero's journey. And
Yes.
just that alone is worth the ticket to go to Rhythmia.
Yeah.
You become quite the wordsmith, my brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this is good. Listen, I think this is a good time to break right now. We've introduced people to you. They know that your Rhythmia is the #1 resort on TripAdvisor. They know the safety protocols around it if they choose to come. We know that, you have yoga, daily yoga. You have breath work. You have the dance of freedom. Dance is really powerful. Dance of freedom there with Pure
With
Shakti. You have the Answer is You teaching. You have this special kind of colonic. Tell us about that. It's different
well,
than normal colonic.
a water-free, a free colonic system, not pressurized. And so
Right.
it's like natural water flow. And it works great with the medicine because the medicine kind of detoxifies you. And then that falls down. What the medicine doesn't get out of you, that it stays in your intestines, and the cleanse gets it out of you. People, I have to tell you, Rev, when people leave here, like, I'm not kidding you. So many people write me and say, "Oh, my friend thought that I had plastic surgery," because their skin clears up. The skin clears up and tightens up. Their eyes are bright and white, like they really look like different people.
Yeah.
They really
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have plant medicine, special free flowing colonics, breath work, yoga, dance, dance of liberation. Obviously that
True.
good food. Meg has her own, she's on the Rhythmia Instagram talking about her concoctions and recipes. She has the wonderful, I guess it's straight from farm to table, organic food. You just put in
As
a new
much of
swimming
it,
pool. What was that?
yeah.
You
As
have a new
much of the
swimming
food
pool.
that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's a beautiful place. And obviously I love teaching there. And I'll be back there in July, the last week of June, first week of July of this year. And very powerful. So before we go to part 2, and I want people to understand that we know about your guys' attention span. So we're not going to keep going on and on and on in this particular interview. But if you go to michaelbbeckwith.com, you can get my app. And part 2 will be on my app.
Cool.
And so, Gerard, any last comments you want to say for part
No,
1?
again, Rev, I'm forever grateful. Thank you for, like, I call you up and talk to you, with nobody looking all the time, right? We talk all the time. I love speaking with you. You're a light. You're my teacher, and you really show me the way to go. I appreciate you immensely, Rev. Yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate this particular season. And I've been teaching for 40 years. Okay, I mean 35 at Agape, and then 5 years before that doing seminars, workshops, being a practitioner, therapist, that whole deal. But in this particular season, I love the people that from Agape that go out and do stuff. You know what I mean? Like the students that go find their Dharma and they do it. You know, you
Ah,
found yours and you're doing it. I look at Akuyo Graham, who started Spirit Awakening. She's doing it. I can name a lot of students that of their own right are out in the world making a big difference in people's lives. And that's what really turns me on these days. It's just watching the people come through, heal themselves, find what they're supposed to be doing, and then going for it and making a difference. So I applaud you in your own transformation and
I
your own
appreciate.
willingness, because people have no idea what it's like to run something. I mean, they see you laughing and smiling right now, but they have no idea what it really means to be the CEO. You're having to balance numbers and finances and staff and personalities and all the different intricate things that you have to do to keep things going. You know, people just come, do the stuff, leave, but they don't know what's behind the scenes and what it takes
Right.
to bring this into expression, you know. And they don't know what's behind the scene to do Agape. There's like 30 ministries and there's staff and equipment and there's fundraising and there's all kinds of stuff, you know. And so I applaud you for, you know, stepping out there and being a leader, and you're the one that's taking the headwind, all the wind, you know, you're the one that's taking the headwind first, and then there are people with you, you know, walking with you, and you know, it's a dynamic life. It's not boring.
No way. And listen, you know, the beautiful part about being us, we got to be both feet in all the time. You know, we're in
Yeah.
it. You know? Like there's no,
Yeah.
I kind of want to be doing agape or I kind of want to be doing rhythmia. We are in it. You know? Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
fully immersed,
Yep.
and come what may.
You got
Come
it.
what may, good, bad, indifferent, but fully immersed in it, and then we get to change and transform every year. Because we can't live in a comfort zone or the zone of convenience. It's always on the edge of becoming the next version of ourself, which
Yep.
is to the personality is scary, but to the soul it's blissful.
I love it. I love it. Right.
So Gerard, thank you very much, man. We're
Thanks,
going
Fred.
to, I'll be with you on the Zoom in just a moment.
Okay.
And thank you
Should
for your
I
time.
should I
Yeah,
say
yeah.
okay? Cheers.
Say goodbye to the folks.
Goodbye, guys.
So that was Gerard Powell, the founder and CEO of Rhythmia Life Advancement Center, #1 on TripAdvisor. And you can just go to rhythmia.com, get all the information on it. And yeah, as you can see, the people that I bring on to my Instagram Live are people that are making a difference on the planet, people that are doing things. And these people that you see, they're not armchair metaphysicians. They're not just academicians. They're not just people who've just written a book and telling you about things. Many of the people that I bring on are actually in the work of transformation and are doing great and mighty work on the planet. And there's nothing special about me. There's nothing special about the people that I bring on. They've just specialized in something that allows for their particular genius to be used for the next great vision and version of humanity. So thank you for tuning in. I am going to do part 2 with Gerard Powell right now. I did Troy Beyer last week, the founder of Mindology. That part 2 is on my app right now. And so Gerard's part 2 will be on my app in about 2 days. michaelbbeckwith.com. You'll be able to get all of that information. So look forward to seeing you. And what about this Friday, 5:30, on Agape's Facebook page is our community gathering. And the guests will be Martin Luther King III, his wife, Andrea King, and their daughter, Yolanda King, speaking about birthing the beloved community. We're in our season for nonviolence, so they're going to be our special guest this Friday at 5:30 Pacific time on Agape's Facebook page. And of course, I'll see you guys on Sunday at agapelive.com for our Sunday services, or on YouTube, or on Facebook. Okay? Have a bright day. Thank you so much for tuning in.